This week in social studies, we will be studying families. We will be studying the different places where families live. Some live rurally, which more is the farm. Some live in a big city. Some live in a suburban town, which would be like us in West Palm Beach. So there are lots of different ways that families live. So we'll study that. We'll study rules of the family. We'll study the way that God ordered the family to be. And then we will end it with people that have helped make families' lives better, and those are inventors. And we will study some inventions, and we'll just enjoy learning in social studies this week and next week. So to start our unit, we will be looking at God made the first family. And we know that God made the first family. We've studied this in Bible class. What's the first family that God made? Who are the people in the first family? Adam and Eve. That's right. God made Adam and Eve. And that was such the pattern that God made for other families. A family is a husband, a wife, and any children that God gives them. God made family members to have different roles in the family. So that means this: all of us play a different part in the family. You are important to your family. And even though you're not the mom or the dad, you play an important part in your family. And God ordained for you to be in that family for a very good reason. So God gave you your family for you for a very good role. Now, children's role is to obey their parents. That's one of the important roles as children. God says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. He tells us to honor our father and our mother, that it will go well with you and that you will live a long life on earth. Ever Whoever is in your family, you all work together in your family, right, to help it. So mom might ask you to do some dishes or make your bed or play with your brother or help pick up or do your work quietly. Well, it's work time, so she can work. We work together to help the family run smoothly. So where do families live? Families live together in a home. But there are many types of homes and many areas where families live. There are many different ways that people live too. Some live in a big city and apartments. That is where the houses are close together. And many families live in houses that are further between, where we have yards. And that might be a little bit like us in Florida, where you have a little bit of a yard, not necessarily a big yard, but some families live even like this. There's all different ways that families live, and this is a tent called a gur that some people would live in. So today we're going to end our unit with our lesson with a quick video from Moby and Annie, and they will help explain the different places and different ways that families live. Then we will come back in a moment after your video.
Moby, you're making it worse. I know, I like making snowflakes too, but they're so messy. At least it isn't my job to sweep up every day. I mean, some kids have a lot of hard work to do. My pen pal Jim lives on a farm, and he wakes up at 5 in the morning to milk the cows. What kind of places do people live? My friend Emma helps shovel snow in front of her apartment in the city. I guess people's lives can be pretty different depending on where they live. Well, I know there are people who live in rural areas, like farms. And then there are families that live outside of a city, in suburban areas. And some people live in urban areas. But what is an urban area exactly? This is definitely a city. There are lots of buildings and restaurants and stores, all close together. People speak lots of different languages, and there's all kinds of different foods to try in urban areas. It's cool to experience so many cultures. Hey, save some for me. A lot of people work and live in the cities. More people live in New York City than any other city in the United States. There are over 8 million people who live here. There are buses and trains to help people get around in urban areas. My friend Emma takes the subway to school. Way cooler than the school bus, if you ask me. Well, I guess we have fun on the school bus, too. What are suburban areas like? Moby, we're in the burbs. The suburbs. Suburbia? Well, we're close by the city anyway. I guess some people live in the suburbs, but travel to the city to work. The suburbs have some of the same things cities have, like schools, banks, grocery stores. Everything is just a little more spread out. Then there's some places where things are really spread out. Entering Farmville. Population 1,300. What is a population? Well, I know the word popular has to do with things people like. Maybe the word population has to do with people. Like 1,300 people live here. That's a much smaller population than New York City. This must be a rural area. But what's a rural area really like? There sure are plenty of big open spaces. Farmers use all the rural space to grow crops or raise livestock. Farming is hard work. Okay, you've done enough damage.
On Moby and Annie that there are different types of areas that people live in: city, rural, suburban. And then I have here my book here, like you'll see some apartment buildings. Like this would be a suburban house right here, kind of like where we live, where you have a bigger yard. Maybe even a home in the desert. Maybe like Mexico would be something like that. That's a more like that type of house. And we've got houses that would be in the mountains and on farm, where there be a barn. And even some people live in houses that look completely different than ours because they don't have a lot of money. There's parts of the world where they don't have a lot of money. And we are so blessed here in America. But there are even areas in America where people don't have homes like we have. And so when we go to bed at night, first grade, let's always take the timer in the morning. Lord, thank you for my home that you've given me, a roof over my head, whatever type of home we live in. That is a gift from God. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. And we live in an area where we are so blessed to have food readily available, a roof over our heads. Not everyone has the privilege of living like that all around the world, and we are very blessed because of the way we live. So that is some different ways that people live. So today on your paper, I want you to, oh, something kind of fell behind me, to look at, there might be a city life, farm life, plain, and a town. So I want you to look at those. The GURs would be in the plain. That's where the GURs are. They look like tents. Okay. And then city life, farm life, and then a town, which would be more suburban. And then I want you to think of how your life is different than the way that somebody else might live. So maybe you can think of the city where there's like lots of taxis all around and people walk everywhere because there are so many people in this small area. and they live in their houses are super tall and they live in like one section of it because there's people above them, people below them, people on either side of them. You might compare your life to them, or you might compare your life to someone that lives in a maybe not in an area like we live where they don't have a lot. So their home might look a little bit, um, I guess the word be more depraved than where we live. They don't have as much as us. Their houses are close together. Their floor might be a dirt floor versus a concrete and tile or wood floor. Their roof might be made of straw or some different particles that doesn't hold up as well as our roofs here where we live. So you might want to compare like, what's different the way I live than the way they live? That might be one that you might think of. So think about how your life is different than somebody else's and draw a picture of something people like to do in your area. So think about Florida. Oh, there's so many fun things we like to do in Florida. We are blessed in Florida. We have a beach near us, the Atlantic Ocean we live near. We learned that in our last unit. And so that's something we all like to do. Not every part of the world has oceans near them. Lots of the states, even in just in the United States, they don't have an ocean right next to them. So that's something we like to do. But there are other things that we like to do in Florida. So draw a picture of something we like to do, and I want you to think about how your life is different in the way you live than somebody else lives. Love you, first grade. We'll continue our unit tomorrow.